The medical bay's sterile lights hummed overhead as Commander Vekt's security team filed through the doorway, their plasma rifles charged and ready. Intelligence had confirmed it. The human specimen, Ilara, they called her, had been exposed to the Vraxian spore plague during the surface mission. Protocol was absolute. Infected subjects were to be terminated before the contagion spread. Vekt's mandibles clicked nervously as he surveyed the scene. The human lay motionless on her cot, her pale skin glistening with fever sweat. But between his armed squad and their target stood something that made his primary heart skip in unison. 7 Vraxian cubs. They were juveniles, no more than 3 solar cycles old, their spotted fur still soft with youth. Their small frames trembled, but not one of them moved aside. The smallest cub, Thurn, stood at the front, his amber eyes blazing with a defiance that seemed impossible for one so young. "Stand aside," Vekt commanded, his translator rendering the words into the chittering Vraxian tongue. "This is a quarantine protocol. The human is infected." Thurn's ear tufts flattened against his skull. "No." The single word hung in the recycled air like a challenge. Behind Vekt, his second-in-command, Officer Kess, raised her rifle higher. "Commander, we don't have time for this." The spores could be airborne by now. Vekt knew she was right. Every moment they delayed put the entire station at risk. The Vraxian spore plague had wiped out entire colonies in the past. It was particularly lethal to his species. A slow, agonizing death that began with respiratory failure and ended with complete neural collapse. "Cubs," Vekt said, softening his tone slightly. "You don't understand. The human is dangerous now. She carries death within her." Another cub, her fur a lighter shade of bronze, spoke up. "Ilara saved us. She pulled us from the wreckage." Vekt remembered the mission report. The human had been part of the emergency response team when the transport shuttle crashed in the contested zone. 7 Vraxian cubs orphaned and trapped in the burning debris. Ilara had gone in alone when the structure became too unstable for the recovery mechs. She'd carried each cub out one by one, even as the toxic spores from the planet's surface infiltrated her environmental suit. "That changes nothing," Vekt said, though his voice carried less certainty now. "She is infected. We must act." Thurn stepped forward, placing himself directly in the line of fire. "Then you shoot us first." The other cubs closed ranks behind him, forming a living shield around Ilara's cot. Their small bodies wouldn't stop plasma fire, but the symbolism was clear. To reach the human, the security team would have to go through children. Kess's claws tightened around her weapon. "Commander, your orders?" Vekt stared at the cubs, then at the human. Ilara's chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. Her eyes were closed, unaware of the standoff unfolding around her. She looked vulnerable, fragile even. It was hard to reconcile this weak creature with the species that had somehow dominated every battlefield they'd entered, that had negotiated treaties with civilizations twice their age, that had earned both fear and respect across a dozen star systems. Humans were paradoxes. They were individually weak, short-lived, prone to disease and injury. Yet collectively they were unstoppable. They bonded with other species in ways the Vraxian Empire found baffling. They adopted alien children, mourned alien dead, threw themselves into danger for beings they had no biological imperative to protect. "She knew," Thurn said quietly, his voice cracking. "Ilara knew about the spores. The mission briefing warned us. She knew and she came for us anyway." "That's irrelevant," Vekt began. "It's not." Thurn's shout echoed through the medical bay. "She chose us over herself. She's dying because of us. And now you want to kill her faster?" Vekt's tactical display blinked urgently. The medical AI was reporting anomalies in Ilara's blood work. He pulled up the data, expecting to see the characteristic markers of spore infestation. Instead, his eyes widened. "Commander?" Kess prompted. "Her immune system," Vekt whispered, studying the readings. "It's fighting back. The AI shows elevated white blood cell counts, unprecedented antibody production. The spores are being attacked." The station's chief medical officer, Dr. Yurn, rushed into the bay, his scaled hands clutching a data tablet. "Don't shoot." "Commander, stand down." "Explain," Vekt demanded. "The human immune system, it's extraordinary. We knew they had robust defenses, but this—" Dr. Yurn's eyes gleamed with scientific fervor. "She's not just fighting the infection. She's winning. Her body is producing antibodies we've never seen before. If we can synthesize them, we could create a cure for the plague that's killed millions of our people. The security team lowered their rifles slightly, confusion rippling through their ranks. Vect looked from the doctor to the cubs to the human on the cot. How long until we know? He asked. 72 hours. Maybe less. Her fever should break by tomorrow if the trend continues. Thurn's legs nearly gave out with relief. The other cubs remained frozen, still positioned protectively around Alara. Vect holstered his sidearm and ordered his team to stand down. Post a guard at the door. Medical protocols remain in effect, but no termination order. Not yet. As the security team filed out, Vect paused beside Thurn. The young cub's amber eyes met his, still defiant, still protective. You would have died for her, Vect said. It wasn't a question. She died for us first, Thurn replied simply. Vect nodded slowly, a gesture he'd learned from humans. He'd read the xenopsychology reports about humanity's pack-bonding tendencies, their irrational loyalty, their willingness to sacrifice for others. He'd dismissed it as exaggeration, propaganda designed to make Earth's military seem more formidable. Now, watching these Vraxian cubs mirror that same inexplicable loyalty, he understood. It wasn't that humans were special. It was that they made everyone around them believe they could be special too. They inspired others to be brave, to be selfless, to be better. 3 days later, when Alara's fever broke and her eyes fluttered open to find 7 cubs sleeping in a pile at the foot of her cot, she smiled weakly. Thurn woke first, his face breaking into pure joy. You're alive, he whispered. Of course I am, Alara rasped, reaching out to ruffle his fur. I had something worth fighting for. Outside the medical bay, Commander Vect filed his report, recommending that the human's antibodies be synthesized immediately. He also added a personal note, one that would circulate through Vraxian military command and eventually reach the Galactic Council itself. Humanity's greatest weapon isn't their technology or their tactics. It's their ability to make you want to be worthy of them.